Okay, look at there. Hello there, everybody. Miracle upon miracles, maybe. It may be miracle upon miracles, or maybe me being incompetent. And I spend the next 45 minutes working on a video, then I try to save it, and I find out that absolutely nothing happened. But let's see what happens. Let's see how it goes. Okay, now I've got both the GNTC review sheet and the AP review sheet. I have been extremely unsuccessful at getting GNTC ahead of AP. Just gonna have to have a shortened version of like the institutions of government here over the next few weeks. But we pretty much got the same test again. I thought I'm just too uncoordinated given the challenges of COVID year. Blah blah blah. Sorry about that. All right, but so I'm gonna pull this up here then. And so, I think what I'm going to do, if it is italicized, that's AP only. All right, is responsible for it. So I'm going that again. What's that court case? Our favorite court case, the gun control case, U.S. versus Lopez. All right, that's one of our essential cases. So let's do that one. And then if you see down here, it's like party decline thesis. That's something we tacked on at the end for AP, but not in GNTC. So other than that, it's pretty much the same, I think. Okay, but let's roll. Let's see what we can do. Okay? All right. So court cases. Let's start with McCullough versus Maryland, or maybe the Elastic Clause. Let's start with the Elastic Clause. Let's go here. All right. There's my sweet soccer picture. All right, there's early stuff, and then we go boom, boom, boom. Look at there, baby. All right. And so we got the Elastic Clause, right? All right. Prior to that, it's just constitutional principles. All right. So the Elastic Clause makes government grow. It's after the enumerated powers. All right. Remember the enumerated powers. Where are they? There they are, those things. Those are the enumerated powers. We took a little quiz on that. All right. But the Elastic Clause is what allows the power of government to grow. There's what it says. Make all laws necessary and proper for carrying out these previous powers. Foregoing means previous. Here, let's put that in parentheses. And then people always know from this point forward what that means. Previous powers. All right, so you got 19, 26, 30 of them, whatever there are, that are listed. And then the question, can it do other stuff too? And everybody kind of agreed they could do some other things, but the strict constructionists and Jefferson are going to say it's got to be something that's absolutely necessary and completely proper. Maybe every now and then you make some sort of little exception and put an asterisk next to it. It's going to be the exception that proves the rule if you do something else. But then Hamilton said, no, it's really kind of anything that helps the government do its job. The government's got a job to do. And here's the things that are listed about what the government can do. And so anything necessary and proper, anything that helps, probably all right. As long as it's not a denied power. There's denied powers in the Constitution. All right? So that's the idea. So, the thing they were arguing about was the bank. Hey, was the bank necessary and proper? And Jefferson says, hey, the bank's probably good, probably help the government do its job, but it's not absolutely necessary and completely proper. And Hamilton says, look, if it helps, as long as it's not denied, probably okay. All right, okay. So there it is. And so over the years, the implied powers, the Elastic Clause has created these implied powers. They're understood without coming out and saying it. That starts the power of the government. All right. It's been used to build the national bank, interstate dams, prohibit discrimination, civil rights out, the ball of ketchup, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So that's implied powers. All right. So now there's the list of enumerated powers. Not, I didn't put those on a review sheet, so I'm not going to require you to have those down. And this is the different names for our national powers. All right, but just to look at them, so remember you had the economic ones, the military ones, and the extra ones, PPE and FACE. So those are ones that enumerated. So the elastic clause kind of creates the other ones that are helpful for carrying out these previously listed powers. All right, so then we have what? The court case. So it's McCulloch versus Maryland. Maryland won to tax the national bank. McCulloch worked for the Bank of the U.S. He was kind of the guy who's running it there in Maryland. He says, I'm not paying it. So it's basically the state of Maryland versus the U.S. government. And the U.S. government wins. Marshall's a nationalist. And hey, it's based on a couple of things. It's based on the elastic clause because the power created banks implied. And it's always also based on the supremacy clause. And he says, hey, if you can, it's a slippery slope thing too. It's interesting. That's really interesting. It's a slippery slope thing. So if you can tax 10% of the bank's funds, well, then you can tax 100% of the bank's funds. Now, what's kind of interesting, and I'm teaching it rather than reviewing it. Hey, the strict constructionist argument is a slippery slope argument. In other words, they're saying, hey, if we let them create the bank, what are they going to create later? So both of them are going, hey, if you let Elvis in the door, well, then you're going to have gangster rap one day. All right, if you remember, the 50s argument. It's the slippery slope going opposite directions. Everybody use that. All right, don't get bogged down in that. The national government won. Okay, Gibbons versus Ogden. Hey, it's a state license versus national government license. National government wins because it's the supremacy clause. Remember, that's Article 6 of the Constitution. Okay, let's check and see what we got. Let's go back. Okay, elastic clause. Okay, so then you're looking at the grants and aid next. Federalism. So let's work our way down. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. Hey, it feels pretty good to do this thing. Then it was first one of the year. All right. So go over here. So grants and aid. That's money that the national government gives to the state governments. Federal means national. That word right there means national. Anytime you see it, means national. All right, so then you got three kinds, I'd say, that we got to worry about. Categorical is for specific purposes like school lunches. Remember, we think Michelle Obama. All right, block grants are for more general purposes like education generally. States like that better. Anything that gives more power to the states, less power to the national government. That's going to be kind of what conservatives like, what Republicans like. Now you got these other types. Ooh, mandates. Yeah, let's go with mandates. A mandate is an order that the national government gives to the states with no money with it. So states don't like that at all. All right, so if you go back, I don't think project grants get on there, do they? So the big three really is the block grant, the categorical grants, the specific, the block grants, the general, and then the mandates, the orders. All right, so then we go back. And we go to like our models of federalism, right? Boom, boom. Look at that. All right, so dual federalism is a layer cake. You know exactly what everybody's supposed to do. So that chart we did from Unit 1, hey, where the national government does war, money, and foreign policy, and the state does police, education, elections, and license. And never the twain shall meet between the two. Hands off each other. And you know exactly what you're getting to eat with a layer cake. So conservatives like that because it keeps a limit on the federal government, on the national government. Conservatives like to talk about states' rights to do their thing. All right, so then you got the cooperative federalism, and that's where they work together on everything, and the metaphor is marble cake. So when you take a bite, you never know what you're going to get. And so liberals say, hey, this stuff's complicated, so the national government needs to help out with all of it, expands what the national government can do. And anytime somebody says states' rights to a liberal, we hear segregation or slavery, because that was Calhoun's argument. That was the segregationist argument. All right. Let's see if the other ones made the cut. Let's just see. Whoop. No. So let's just keep going. All right. So it's cute. All right. The advantages of federalism. Okay, where are we? Boom, boom, boom. All right, CCC, 3 C's. First is a compromise between a unitary, what Britain had, and a confederal government like we had under the Articles of Confederation, like we had under the Confederacy, where the states have more power than the national government. All right, keeps the government close. That's John Meadows. the late John Meadows, and he was close to me physically. I could walk down the road and go talk to him, and I could have some influence over the government. So it keeps government close. He was the third most powerful man in the state. Okay, checks and balances. All right, conservative states are a check on the power of a liberal president, liberal national government. Liberal states are a check on a conservative national government. All right, so that's the CCC. Compromise, close, checks and balances. All right, so then the U, unity, not uniformity. Hey, that picture's not going to fit in Seattle, right? But it fits in Texas. All right, so we're in the, and that's important. Boy, it's so important today. We ain't got to be just alike, see things just exactly alike to be part of the same country. Tolerance, got to tolerate diversity of viewpoints and diversity of geography, diversity of geographical perspectives. All right, then the E, let's go to T. So trading for future officials. Remember, three guys on the right, even though these two guys, they really don't like him very much. They're all governors. All right, and then experimentation. Whichever state figures something out on COVID, everybody's going to copy them. All right, so they serve as policy labs. Okay, all right, and then it's the debate, right? Okay. So the decentralists, there they are, Jefferson, Calhoun, first in history, more recently, Reagan, and two conservative judges. Bear to be that. When she gets on there, they see the Constitution as compact by the states. 10th Amendment reserves power for the states. All right. And then the centralists, Hamilton was the first, Lincoln, that's the national government freeing the slaves, both Roosevelts. There's Lyndon Johnson, that's basically the national government telling the state governments they got to do civil rights right there. Great, great, great picture. All right. The national government speaks for all the people in the way state governments don't. Is the argument. All right. Okay, so fast forward if you are in GNTC, but AP, remember Lopez, so he is arrested for having that gun, and the national government said, and there was a state law against having the gun in a school, but the U.S., the national government, the federal government said, no, the Gun-Free Schools Zones Act preempts it. And then the court said, well, the Gun-Free School Zone Act is encroaching upon a state power over education because that gun in commerce, that gun is not serving to advance interstate commerce in a way a hotel that's right on an interstate is. So there's a distinction to be made there. And in fact, if it is interstate commerce, then literally anything that gets bought and sold ever, which everything gets bought and sold just about, is interstate commerce. All right, so that's the argument. It's a really interesting case. All right, there's a little thing on it. And I think that ends federalism. Let's take a look up there. Let me take a breath while we do. Hey, why don't you review that for a second? All right, so here we go, politics. All right, so let's go right here. So if we have, you see that little plus sign right there? Let's use this little plus sign. All right, so if we're on, well, it keeps moving on me. Imagine a plus sign. All right, I wonder if I can go down here. Can I go down there? I don't think I can make a plus sign. Here's a plus sign. What about that? That'll work. Here's our plus sign. Okay, so let's make it great big. Why isn't it getting bigger? I have no idea. Oh, well. So, if you're with the Democrats on economics and on culture, well, then you're a liberal. You're in this southwest corner. All right. If you're with the Republicans on economics and culture, you're in the northeast corner. All right. If you're with the Republicans on economics, But liberals on culture, well, you're a libertarian, so you're down here. And if you're like me, which very few people are, I'm a freaking weirdo. And you're with the Democrats first time around, and the conservatives the other time around, the old school Democrat, New Deal Democrat, with civil rights added to it. Maybe a 1964 Democrat, 1965 Democrat. Well, then, populist is the word we use, or Catholic. The Pope's this way. All right. So, and you might ask yourself, well, what's a populist? Give yourself a few issues. What's a populist position on abortion? You know the liberal conservative position. What's a libertarian position on taxes? What's a libertarian position on marijuana? And so forth. Okay? All right. Okay. Constituencies. Let's see if I can list them. I bet I can't. All right. So you'll be smarter than me. All right. Democrats. It's underdog groups. I tell you how I'm going to approach it. I'm going to two things that are not culturally underdog, and then see if I get five underdogs. So I got poor people, and then I got regions. The Northeast and the West. Okay, then I got African Americans, gays and lesbians, Hispanics, women, intellectuals. Oh, so there's three then. Three, not necessarily. So how do we do it? You got two not underdog groups, college professors and regions. And then you've got not a culture, you've got an economic underdog group, that being poor people. And then it's four cultural or underdog groups: African Americans, gays and lesbians, Hispanics and women. All right? I like that. Okay, Republicans. All right, now this is what I'm going to do on this one to get to the six. I'm going to start with regions. I'm going to go opposite. Let's go opposite. All right, so the regions are the South and the heartland, and the opposite of poor wouldn't be rich, it'd be business. Okay, and then I'm going two things having to do with violence: gun owners and the military. So conservative Christians, number one, and then what's going to be the last one? Nativists. All right, immigration. All right, there we are. All right, that's six. Okay, so then let's go. So then next we're going to culture, and then kind of through the election process. So hey, what if we can turn this into these I can statements? Mackenzie, what are you talking about? I'm trying to be cooperative with the administration. They want us to think about things this way this year. All right, I can explain federalism. All right, and how many different things do I have there? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 14 things on federalism. Okay, and then we're kind of going with number 2 right here. I can explain different and common political ideas. So the difference is, but that should be up there. Yeah. Boop. All right. So I go right here. Okay. I can explain different and common political ideas. Okay, so the difference between those ideologies, the constituencies, and then the political culture. So it goes liberty, individualism, equality of opportunity, democracy, majority rule, common man ideal, rule of law, American dream, patriotism. So that's the acronym there. All right. So then I can Hey, Mackenzie, let me tell you what you can do with your I can statements. All right. I can what? Explain the election process. All right. And that'll go for a little while, won't it? Look at all that. Okay, so let's take a look at it, and we'll see if we can find it on the PowerPoint too. Keep working your way up, baby. Debates. Look at there. Here we go. Here we go. That's it. All right, so it starts with the nomination process. So nomination is when the parties decide who they're going to pick, nominate, name. All right, so a third of the states use caucuses. Let's change this slide and go ahead and say Iowa first, because that's always important. Iowa kind of had, all right. In caucuses, supporters of a candidate go the corners. And there's 2 rounds. After round 1, they make little speeches and they try to win over the minority, the political minority groups, the losers. And then they report their results. And so this is more participatory democracy than primaries are. In a primary, you just go and you vote just like regular voting. Now, a closed primary, you got to be on a list of party members. And that prevents the raiding. Remember, I said I raided when I lived. I raid almost every time I go in and vote for the most moderate Republican, because I'm assuming the Republicans are going to win every time. All right, and then hey, they won 32 out of my 52 years. It's been a Republican president. All right, 3/5 of the time, 60% of the time, I've been alive. Okay, open primaries, anybody can vote, and that allows independents, and at least a third of Americans are independent. Even if they're hardcore conservative liberals, still independent, don't register, all right? Okay. So both of them encourage the candidates to say things way too far out on the left or way too out there on the right, and you end up with people who don't represent candidates who don't really represent the country as a whole. So that's the primary effect. You have a democratic process. Everybody has a chance to have their say, but it's the true believers that have their say. All right, an undemocratic result. Okay. I think we all did this one, but I don't think I want to do it yet. Don't want to do that yet. We're going in order. Let's get to the, where is it? There it is. Political parties. All right. So famous quotes. There's Jefferson's quote. Oh, no, but okay, well, we'll go ahead and say it. Jefferson said he'd rather go to hell than join a party. Schneider says you really, really need them. Hey, all right, so there's definition of a party, what it wants. It's a mechanism is a stupid name. What? It's an organization. Yeah, let's do that. The mechanism is so stupid. Nobody ever says mechanism. Mechanism. Organization. Which seeks to control the government through winning elections. So they want power. That means they'll change their minds about things. Biden, at one point, Kamala Harris got on to him during the primaries for defending segregated schools. Wants power by winning elections. All right. Number one goal. All right, but it encourages people not to take extreme positions. Okay. So then you got the conventions after the primaries and the caucuses, and so that's where they name the candidates. You know, once upon a time, the party bosses actually chose the candidates at the conventions as recently as 1960, and you had much more moderate candidates. But that doesn't happen anymore. You know, you got this small d Democratic primary process. Okay, 3 goals spells out pun like a cute little saying. All right, so a platform. So, hey, let's change this so that it spells out pun. Platform. Unity. Name the candidate. There we go. Pun. All right. Okay. So there we are. Okay, 4 goals. Day 1, a few people just get there. Day 2, they dot the platform, and somebody makes a keynote address. Obama's keynote address kind of identified him as the next person to watch in American politics way back in 2004 when y'all were 3 years old. All right, the vice presidential nominee give their speech on day 3. Presidential nominee gives their speech on day 4. Okay, so then you got the general election. So it's going to be November 3rd this time. It's 2 weeks from Tuesday. Getting close. All right, having lots of fascinating discussions. Friends of mine making their predictions. I'm down to 50. I'm back down to 15 on Biden. $15. All right. Okay, held on the Tuesday following the first Monday in November. Here's my closing argument. Let me go ahead and make my closing argument. It's not that I think he should. It's what is Trump's talent? He's a disruptor. You know, he's an attack dog. But what we need in 2020 is a healer in chief. And bringing folks together and healing folks, that's just not in his toolbox. He doesn't have that, 2016 was much better for his skill set. But it's right in Biden's sweet spot. So for that reason, I am predicting a close Biden victory. 289 electoral votes. I'm giving Trump Florida and Georgia and North Carolina, but I'm giving the Rust Belt back to Biden. Okay, there's the Electoral College. We've all looked at it pretty closely now since we made our picks. The 2 senators plus the representatives, 435 plus 100 plus the 3 for D.C., so that's 538. Divide by 2 is 269. You got to have a majority. All right, Nebraska and Maine split their votes. I read an article today saying, what's Nebraska got? Where's Nebraska at? I can't tell what that says. Looks like a 3, though. Is it a 3? I bet it's 5. Here, let's find out. We'll go right here. Come on now. Quit that. That's a morbid headline. Electoral votes does not Nebraska have. Well, give me the dang it. 5. All right, one of them is expected. They're expected to split it this time. One of them, Omaha is the capital, and Omaha and its suburbs is a congressional district and expected to go Biden. So it's going to be 4-1 in Nebraska this time, according to the polls. Biden is 7 points up in the Omaha district. Okay. So there's the losers who won. So Trump and Gore during the 21st century. Grover Cleveland, Tilden, and Andrew Jackson back in 1824. Those are the people. All right. It's just about impossible to get rid of it. Just about impossible. It requires 3/4 of state legislatures. Not going to happen in an evenly divided electorate. All right. Now, it creates this mandate to govern. So let's say Biden wins with 289 electoral votes. That might be like 1%. Well, here, this is 2008, so that's Obama. So he beat McCain by about 5 points. But look at it. He beat him by almost 200 electoral votes. So given that, that allows Obama to say, hey, the people have spoken, they want me to reform health care. All right, so it gives them a mandate to do something rather than say, hey, just won by 5 points. All right, let's go up here and see what we're looking at. All right, so there's the goals. All right, so we'll just go right back to it. Wormel. All right, win, unify. It's got to bring these different groups of people together. Run the government. Raise money, recruit candidates, mobilize supporters. There's run the government. So I mean, he's appointing, Trump. Even here at the end is appointing Barrett. All right, mobilize supporters. The parties that we've said. The ground game. Here, let's put that in there. And the two parties have different styles of ground game. So Trump has the rallies and the signs, really. That's his strategy. Way more signs. And then Biden's using, the daily text message and smaller, socially distanced, speeches. All right, and so, we'll just see which one wins. And if the signs and the rallies have an effect on turnout. Because this is a turnout election, a base election, not a swing election where you're trying to win over undecided. It's only 3% undecided. All right, raise money in your recruit, costs a lot of money. Sometimes hard to get people to run. All right, so that's Wormel. And then a label. Let's make a slide. You want to? Let's do that. All right. So for next time, label and voting. Always have candidates on the ballot we've never heard of. I voted for some people I had never heard of the other day. D/R provides a guide. That's good. See if I can get a picture. Ballot. Google Images. See what comes up. Images. Which one should we do here? All right, let's go with that. Go with that one right there. All right, then we make it smaller. All right, so hey, we know who these folks are, but who the heck is Jo Jorgensen? No idea. All right, the folks over here, who the heck are they? No idea. All right, I don't think that's a Georgia ballot. Okay. All right, let's see where we're at. Looks like we got the whole left side, don't we? Okay, then we're going big sort. All right, that was up there, wasn't it? Let's see if it's up there. So if we go up, I ended up making, I think like for GNTC, I just like put it on the board. But then I ended up. Debates. There's debates. There we go. All right, so there's the big sword. Everybody used to live where they grew up. All right, so we were politically integrated. Your neighbors might be Democrats or Republicans. But in the 60s, people were making a lot of money so they could move wherever they wanted to. So they moved to places that seemed like a nice place for them to live. And so when you're choosing a place to live, are museums or churches more attractive to you? Or Starbucks or Waffle Houses? Or football or the high school football, Friday Night Lights or the performing arts? Well, whichever you choose, you're kind of choosing a certain political culture. And over time, that political culture kind of reinforces itself to where, hey, in big cities, 80% are Democrats, and in small towns, 80% are Republicans, and there's a big peer pressure, on. Hey, there's Democrat signs up. The Democrats put up some signs for Biden. Hey, they've been pulled up. Why do you think that is? Do you think those Democrat signs would have been pulled up in a more liberal town, liberal place? Now, granted, no doubt in big cities, people are pulling up Trump signs. All right, so same thing. Okay? All right, so the effect of it is this tribalism where we hate each other's guts. We hate the people who are different from us. All right, they're just demonic, or they're just racist. They're just, every last one of them. All right, and, there's all kinds of things that exacerbate it. Okay? All right, so that's the big sword. All right, so I think next we have debates. Let's see if that's the case. Yep, debates. All right, so I think you remember those, right? These ones. All right, so Nixon didn't look as good on TV. Reagan's got that question, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? All right, Dukakis, all right, messed up and gave an honest answer to the death penalty question. McCain looked awkward because of what the Vietnamese did to him. All right, so realignment is a shift in who people support. Elections marking realignment are called realigning elections or critical elections. It spells out Rice. You're going to have a realigning election, a new issue. Whoever wins the election is going to change things, and it's a change that's built to last, an enduring change. By the way, that's NWA, that's Ice Cube, and Ice Cube has been in the news for some sort of working with Trump. All right. The two most famous realignments were Lincoln, and the Republicans in slavery as a result of the 1860 election, and then Roosevelt and the Democrats come up with the New Deal and fight against poverty as a result of the 1932 elections. All right. More recently, starting in '68. People started splitting their tickets, so people weren't really aligned with either side all the time. And starting again with the war in Iraq, I'd say. So we had that brief moment of unity that you really see, and it's just so inspirational, isn't it? W throwing out that first pitch. But then we kind of know he's going to get us involved in the war in Iraq. He just kind of gets carried away. And divides the country again, and really, really evenly, right? So that's when you really see ourselves sorting ourselves out politically. And so we're evenly aligned today. Okay, so then you got polling. All right, so you got polling in the two-party system. All right, let's see what we can do about finding that. And we'll be done. Keep making that sound and it get closer. So there's realignment. There's Bill Clinton. Bob Ross. There's two-party system. So what was the other thing? Polling. Well, since we got two-party systems, let's go ahead and take care of it. All right, most democracies are multi-party system. We're the exception. So why is that? Number one, kind of the process that you saw on the, here, let's put that. What was that thing called? Animal Kingdom video. All right, and then you got the single member district. All right, so like in one of the classes, we were summarizing it, and what we said was, if you don't like your congressman, critics of a congressman in a particular district have got to unite against him. You know, you can't have 2 or 3 opponents. It's got to be one. All right? Okay, there's the effect of the two-party system. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, so, hey, proportional representation. In other countries, you get 10% of the vote, you get 10% of the power. Let's put power. I think that's more. Then we'll put that in parentheses. Whoop. There you go. So that's a little more clear, I think. All right, so that's proportional representation. All right, other reasons. Hey, we've always done it that way. Time bestows veneration on all things. It's gotten us this far. All right, it's hard to get on the ballot. It costs a lot of money. So independents, tend to be people who are really rich. If they're not really rich, they never run. All right, moderate political culture. All right, the effect, there's Bashama. Pushes people to the center. They're buddies, by the way. I mean, I really don't see that as being quite as strange as y'all do. All right, multi-party systems, they got to form coalitions because, whoever won probably doesn't have a majority. They just got a plurality. Okay, so then third parties in America. Only the Republicans were successful. Co-ops, isn't a good word. Steals their issue, and then the third party kind of dies. So the populists stood up for the farmers, but the Democrats just kind of took that issue. Single issue party, other types. Splinter party breaks off from one of the 2 existing parties. So the Progressive Party in the Progressive era was made up of former Republicans. Ideological party, Green Party on the left, Tea Party on the right. All right, so good and bad about parties. They bring up new issues. They ain't scared to bring up new issues. But they hurt their own side, the major party that's closest to them. If it wasn't for the Green Party, I'd be teaching everybody about former President Gore rather than former President Bush. I'm not sure if I think Gore could have thrown that pitch out the way Bush did. All right. Okay. Now that, let's see. No, that's a bunch of slides on something I talked about. There's polls. There we go. Larry Digest screwed up because they only asked rich people. Remember, they asked people with phones and cars in the Depression. And, I mean, they missed it bad. Okay, so today's poll, ask a random sample. Everybody got an equal chance. The computer spits out phone numbers from all over the country. 1,000 people got to be asked, and there's a margin of error of 3 points. Got to be objective questions. It can't be lenient. It's better to do it on the phone than it is in person because the person in front of you pushes you one way or another, influences you. All right, and over time, there's been a lot less trust. Everybody trusts the government when Eisenhower was president, then these events, Vietnam, Watergate, Clinton's impeachment, weapons of mass destruction, government spending, and then the fake news more recently. What is it? On social media, a lie spreads 10 times faster than the truth. Okay, I think that's it. Now, we didn't do push polls. All right, let's see. Let's go back. All right, hey, you can... okay. So then you have this right here. Let's just, rather than look all over the PowerPoint for it, let's just talk about it. All right, keep the video as short as we can. All right, let's see. Party ID, whether you're Democrat or Republican, that's the number 1 predictor of how you're going to vote. If you're a Democrat, you may not like Biden, but you're going to vote for him. If you're a Republican, you may not like Trump, but you're going to vote for him. Negative partisanship. really affects things today. That article we read. Okay. Retrospective voting. That's the Reagan question. Are you better off 4 years ago than you were today? All right. Prospective voting. You're voting on what they say they're going to do. What future oriented. The kind of their ideology. Here's what I would like to do because here's what I believe in. All right, in the midterms, not very many people vote. The people that do vote tend to be mad at the president, so the president's party almost always does badly. So that's the midterm effect. All right, sometimes right now elections are more influenced by what's going on nationally. Every election in the country is one way or another about what's going on about Trump. All right, prospective voting. All right, that's not right. And then local politics. During the days of de-alignment, Democrats in Calhoun could get reelected while people would vote for Reagan or for Bush. All right, the ground game, that's the mobilization. So the Republicans got the signs and they got the rallies. The Democrats have, they kind of focus on electronic mobilization techniques. All right, turnout and parties. So if Republicans are more reliable, Democrats are part-time voters. All right. The higher the turnout is, that's better for Democrats. The lower the turnout is, that's better for Republicans. All right. And then finally, so stop it. If you're in GNTC, don't worry about it. AP, let's go right here. Party organization, they're good at raising money. But the Republican, I'm going to say the Republican Party organization is weaker than the Democratic Party organization. Democratic Party organization wanted Biden, not Bernie, and that's what they got. The Republican Party organization wanted Rubio, not Trump. They wanted Rubio or Bush, not Trump, and they didn't get it. So I think there's a difference in party power. All right, by organization. All right, the party in government. Party in government is very, very, very strong because it just puts lots and lots and lots of pressure on people in Congress to vote with their political party. 95, 98% unity scores. Party in the electorate. Well, so again, it's a little bit of a strange story, complicated story. So it's not as strong as it used to be when everybody considered, once upon a time, everybody considered themselves to be Democrats or Republicans. All right, huge majority. Now you got, depending on the survey, 30 or 40% of folks calling themselves independents. But on the other hand, things are extremely partisan. So people really hate the other side, and folks who call themselves independent are not really independent because they always vote, when it comes down to two, they're always going to vote for the same side. All right, let's keep our fingers crossed.